start as a subcommittee of one at the moment. But and I also see that we have Senator Mendoza here. So Senator Mendoza, are you ready to present? So why don't you come on up here? And so we will call this meeting to order as a subcommittee until we get a quorum. So welcome, Senator Mendoza. And you, I believe you have SB 780, correct? Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm here to present SB 780, which improves the safety for patients and staff at state facilities by prohibiting state-employed psychiatric technicians and psychiatric technician assistants from being mandated to work overtime except in certain emergency situations. As many of you are aware, the state mental hospitals and prisons are dangerous places to work. Today, 92% of the state's hospital patients are there on a forensic commitment, and placements in those facilities require a committing offense of a serious or violent nature. The staff working in those facilities must be on their toes, sharp and alert at all times. Psychiatric technicians are the largest classification of direct level of care providers in state hospitals and face the highest volume of mandatory overtime. In some institutions, psych techs are mandated to work 7, 8, or 9 times a month and 3 or 4 times a week. There are many cases where they are mandated to work mandated on back-to-back days, effectively working 32 hours in a 2-day period. Working so many hours in such short time frame and in such a short time frame exhausts staff, reduces their alertness, and creating a potentially dangerous situation. SB 780 will ensure that the safety of the staff working at our state's institutions by including a ban on the practice of using mandatory overtime for psychiatric technicians and psychiatric technician assistants as a staffing tool. With me today, we have Colby Pizzotti from the California Association of Psychiatric Technicians.
Excellent. All right, witnesses and support. Mr. Pizzotti.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Kobe Pizzotti with the California Association of Psychiatric Technicians. Our members are, as the Senator stated, the largest direct level care providers in prisons, state hospitals, and developmental centers. SB 780 simply prohibits the state from utilizing mandatory overtime on all classifications of psych techs and psych tech assistants as a staffing tool. As the Senator stated, 92% of the patients residing in state hospitals have been placed under a forensic commitment. These are very unstable, mentally ill patients with criminally violent tendencies. Just last week, there were 2 attempted murders at Napa and Patton State Hospital. Psych techs are the primary first responders and were the first on the scene to treat the patients as well as break up the attempted murders. It is important now more than ever that the staff are providing care for these individuals be very alert, very on their toes, not only to protect the patients, but to protect themselves so they can go home to their families. With nearly 3,000 assaults every year on staff, it's not a matter of if you get assaulted, it's a matter of when. We have had our members sexually assaulted, beaten, and in one case murdered. Mandatory overtime leads to exhausted staff and errors that could dramatically affect both the patients and the staff. The Memorandum of Understanding between the state and the California Association of Psychiatric Technicians sets limits on the use of mandatory overtime. No more than 6 times in a month, not on back-to-back days, no more than twice a week, and not on your regularly scheduled day off. Unfortunately, the state has continually violated this contract agreement. Our members have been forced into working involuntary overtime up to 8 times a month, on back-to-back days, 3 or more times a week, and have been called in on their off days. We have filed several grievances and won. However, the state simply apologized for the past action and continues the practice. Mandatory overtime practices for nurses and psychiatric technicians in the private sector has been banned since 2001 through wage orders from the Industrial Welfare Commission. Unfortunately, the state was exempted from those orders. We simply ask for your support to help ensure safe working conditions so that we can provide optimal patient care. And I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any other witnesses in support? Seeing none, any witnesses in opposition? Seeing none, question from members. We're doing SB 780 by Senator Mendoza. So actually, just one question. I understand that that some people would say that overtime's it's something for collective bargaining, but I understand that there have been agreements that have not been enforced. Is that correct?
Yeah, so as I stated in the opening, I wouldn't be here today if they were adhering, the state was adhering to our collective bargaining agreement. We have no other options.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions from members? No? Okay, seeing none, we're right now operating as a subcommittee until we have a quorum. We'll then take up, see if there's a motion on your bill at this point. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Mendoza. Okay, next item, I see our pro tem. So that's item number 1, SB 185 by Senator De Leon. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon. Good morning, Senator Bell. I'll be quick since quorum hasn't been established, Mr. Chair, as well as Senator Bell. SB 185 directs the two state pension plans, both CalPERS and CalSTRS, to divest their thermal coal holdings consistent with their fiduciary responsibilities under law. SB 185 aligns our investment policies with our values. Since 2007, the state of California has prohibited our utilities, our IOUs, from investing in new coal power in order to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Coal combustion from energy generation is the leading cause of global climate change. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be obviously very brief given the fact that we haven't established a quorum, but in short what we'd ask is both CalPERS and CalSTRS to divest of their coal holdings right now. But normally we would make strategic, wise investment decisions, knowing that at the end of the day, the fiduciary responsibility of the boards of both pension plans is to hold value for their clients or customers, which are rank and file members. Investments in coal today is just simply a bad investment. So with that, Mr. Chair, as well as Senator colleague Jim Bell, when the time comes, I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. All right, witnesses in support.
Olivia Regalia for Sierra Club, California, in support. Thank you.
Hello, Linda Rudolph, Director of the Center for Climate Change and Health, and also a CalPERS retiree, retiring from 30 years of state and local service. I support this bill for two reasons. One, it's a bad investment. I don't want my pension funds invested in something where there's such a great risk of tremendous plunge in prices due to the stranded assets that coal represents. And second, I don't believe it's appropriate for CalPERS to be invested in coal, which is a major contributor to climate change, which is a major cause of ill health in beneficiaries and in the residents of California. Thank you.
Thank you. If I'm going to pause the testimony for right now because I see that we have a quorum. So, Secretary, can you please call the roll?
Dr. Richard Pan.
Here.
Here. Senator Morrell.
Here.
Here. Bell.
Here.
Here. Fuller. Hall.
Present.
Hall here.
Excellent. We now have a quorum. Additional testimony and support.
Hello, my name is Brett Fleischman. I'm the senior analyst at 350.org. Essentially, my role is to keep track and support of the over 500 global divestment campaigns on fossil fuels happening now. I thought I would bring the board a few numbers to consider on this bill and support. Norway's government pension fund, which is the largest pension fund in the world, has divested from over 120 coal and tar sands companies. The Rockefeller Brothers Fund, an $860 million fund, is divested from fossil fuels. The United Methodist Church Fund, a $21 billion fund, is divested from coal. Stanford University, as you all know, is divested from coal. AP2 and AP4, Swedish, the two largest Swedish pension funds have divested from fossil fuels, and San Francisco's pension fund has just moved $100 million into a fossil-free investment product and is considering a coal divestment. I would also say that there's 27 universities throughout the United States who have divested from fossil fuels, 34 cities in the United States who have committed to consider divestment from fossil fuels, 66 religious institutions, and 90 foundations. Since 2008, the coal industry has plummeted in market value 66.9%. Which makes it a bad investment. Over the last 5 years, an all-country world index without fossil fuels has outperformed a all-country world index with fossil fuels by 2%. And the S&P 500 without fossil fuels over the last year has outperformed by 1.5%. So in closing, it's a prudent and responsible and meaningful thing to do. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Will Barrett with the American Lung Association, California. Thank you for taking my comments. We support this bill. We believe it sends the appropriate signals that California needs to move its investments away from coal, which creates unhealthy air and an unhealthy climate. We're joined in our support by about a dozen health organizations, including the American Academy of Pediatrics, California Black Health Network, Physicians for Social Responsibility, and the California Public Health Association North, along with about a dozen total. So wanted to just say thank you for bringing this bill forward, and we support it, and we think that we need to transition California off fossil fuels. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Chris Brown. I'm with 350 Sacramento, and we also support this bill. Thank you for introducing it. I'm also a CalSTRS family member, and we like to not have our retirement be so dependent on such risky investments. Thanks.
Good afternoon. I'm Janet Cox. I am with Fossil Free California, and I'm a CalPERS retiree. My interest, I believe that CalPERS and CalSTRS are likely to divest from coal because it is the fiduciarily correct thing to do, and signs are that they see this and they are heading in that direction. But what passing this bill will do is it will send a message to the climate meetings in Paris at the end of this year that California is still leading the charge in the U.S. and that these gigantic pension funds, which are globally very influential, are willing to divest from coal. I think that this bill gives a tremendous leg up to a strong result from the climate conference, the COP21. Thank you.
I'm Lynn Nittler. I'm a member of CalSTRS, retired teacher, and also an active member of Cool Davis, engaged in greenhouse gas reduction actions. And I'm concerned with my legacy. I want to leave younger people a vibrant and living Earth, one with its living systems intact. And I'm not wanting my retirement dollars supporting our continued addiction to fossil fuels, in this case coal, which we know the burning of them leads to a loss of biodiversity, more food insecurity, greater climate instability. So I very much support this piece of legislation. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Nora Lynn on behalf of the California Faculty Association. Our Political Action Committee has recommended a support position on this legislation. Thank you.
Okay. Seeing no other witnesses support, witnesses in opposition, please come up.